Well, hello everyone, it's Barry's Best Honey. I'm Mike and I do bees. It's August 26th. Welcome to Southeast Louisiana. Yes folks, I do bees. What I don't do is how-to videos. This is a vlog. This is a how I do video. Because today I'm going to talk about something I see a lot of people always just really get up. I don't even know the word. I want to say uproar, not that. People get very excited about this subject, and that is small hive beetles. Because I've got to go address a colony, and I said, well, you know, I always get questions about small hive beetles at meetings. I hear questions. I see it on pages, Facebook pages, and things like that. And I said, well, I'm getting ready to go out and do some remedy on a colony. And, oh, this would be a good time to answer that very question that folks ask me. What do I do about the small hive beetle? I think you're going to be disappointed with my answer. I really do. I think you're going to be disappointed with how I do with small hive beetles. So, without further ado, let me get my smoker going and we'll get out there. So, folks, I'm sure you can plainly see plenty of bearding. It's hot. I hope they're cordial today because I tell you, it's so hot I really don't feel like putting on a jacket. We hadn't any rain. We need rain. It's crunchy out here. But as you can see, this one, and that one, they look good. This one's lacking some bees on the front. When I went to walk up here and put my goodies out here that I'm gonna show you, I noticed a flurry of activity in front of it. But it was just down at the entrance, nobody on the edges. So that told me, well, maybe they're okay. I thought they were getting robbed, but looks like it was just orientation flights, which is a good thing. Because here's what I got to do today. I knew I had this 1 week hive. I have another one that's somewhat weak, but not like this one. And this one I was concerned about. But it looks like we got some activity. Anyway, I want to check it. So I don't know whether I should do this first or that first. Let me open it, see how they are. This particular colony was a single and it was light, and I said, well, it had a decent amount of bees. Sounds like it still does. And I said, well, it needed food. So I built it a food box because it had a lot of bees in the bottom. And I thought, let me give it food because it's gonna need it. I didn't want them to, you know, go hungry. So anyway, I put a box on it. Well, now it's looking like maybe it was too much. And not one beetle. So that's a good thing. So I'll explain what I do about beetles now, but again, you're really going to be disappointed because we're not going to do much at all with this one. I got to find one with beetles to try out my stuff. Looks like, so I gave them empty comb and some honey so they would have plenty of food. And I says to myself, let me make sure they can guard this space. And I want to check their queen before we get really deep into fall. And so I got to be quick because I don't want robbing to start. But shoot, they seem to have a lot of bees. They just don't look like it on the front, and that's what concerns me. So I'm going to pull some frames. But honestly, I'm just not seeing the beetles this season when I feel like I should be. There is a lot of honey up here, and there's actually a decent amount of bees. So I had put this box on from another colony. It didn't need it. I moved it over. I'm glad I did, I guess, now, because I'm looking at them and it's all nectar. So they're packed out with plenty of stores. Thought I had given them some empty frames. Maybe I didn't, because it looks like it's almost all honey. Well, nonetheless, the goal was to come and see if they were weak and show you how I combat small hive beetles. Ouch. Don't squeeze a bee. Sorry, bee. All right, here's a brood frame. Let's check on our queen. I don't have my flashlight, and the sun went down, thank goodness, because it's extremely warm, but I can't see the eggs now. Let me try and get out from under these trees. And that's full of nectar. I'm gonna look for eggs, and here's the deceiving thing this time of year. You can see no eggs and kind of start freaking a little bit. But at the same time, when the pollen shuts off and the nectar is shut down, even with a little bit of nectar and no pollen, or very little pollen, that queen is going to absolutely slow down to next to nothing. So it'd be nice to see her up here and not have to worry. Because here's some of the orientation flight. This is all just emerged. So that's what I'm seeing. That's what I saw. It's a good thing. I think we're fine. Yeah, actually I see eggs too. So not freshly emerged. Probably a day or two emerged. But this side is. So that's good. That's a good sign. I'm seeing eggs. I got a good laying queen. Let's look inside. I mean, the bees are there. I know the bottom. So even though the front's not packed out, this is a good looking colony. So we're going to have to go through my small hive beetle remedy without this colony. I don't want to sit here and wish that I could find one with small hive beetles so I can try out my goodies. So I don't want to. I'm happy with not having many. We'll pop the lid on one more and just see. Since I got you out here, and then we'll go over all the goodies, and I'll show you some of the stuff I got from RP Beeworks, Robert Peebles. You can find him at RP Beeworks. He's got a website. You can also find him on Facebook. I will link it in the bottom. Okay, I'm on the hive over. Let me give these ladies a little bit of smoke, or maybe even a lot. See if any there's some beetles coming out. Look at there. All right, I'm gonna get my tool that he gave me. Now, I've got a couple tools here. Let's look. So I got this. Got it. That's satisfying. Oh yeah, get him. Get him, Mike. Well, we know we got them in here. Really not a lot, though. And I got to be honest, folks, I don't flip out about beetles too often. I'm used to them. And I guess that's what my point's getting ready to be. When you see what I'm going to do to combat these things, besides smash them, because I do smash them all the time, every chance I get. But we definitely have some beetles. Oh, there's one. So he gave me this tool. You got a square end. I do think the square end might be better if it's a little bit smaller, because it can cover a lot of bees. I like that end. That's good. And I can get into the edges like that. Got them. This would be nice to be a little bit smaller, but maybe there's a reason you did this, Robert, if you're watching. I don't know. But this is a neat little tool. Oh, got one in the open. Wide open. Watch. Oh, got him. So sitting around doing this does take time. I'm going to show you a tool that isn't from Robert. I've seen these before. I want to say, honestly, that Tim from Gunline Bees was the guy that really showed this idea off first. Now, I've seen a few more since then, but we also know the bug farmer made this. But it's dead. That's why I didn't have it out, and I used Robert's Smasher. I haven't, this thing was charged last month or so because I wanted to have it ready, and it died, so I'm going to have to recharge it. But this thing, you just simply suck the beetles up. And it works good, and then they get trapped in here. It's got a check valve. They can't get out, and it works good. I can't show you how good it works because it's dead. Well, that's my fault. So I pulled it out the barn. It was dead. I said, well, let me bring it out anyway to show y'all. Smashing them when I open them. Smash them as I can. A bunch get away because I don't sit around and smash them forever and ever. I just smash a couple as I see them, and then I get busy working in my colony. It's a lot of time to sit and just smash them unless I see a whole bunch. When I see a whole bunch, it's kind of, okay, so when there's a bunch of them, usually the colony is starting to get on the weak side. Now, I've seen strong colonies with a bunch. But for me, I gave up using traps probably about 4 or 5 years ago. I just stopped. I tried some traps with you guys on YouTube. I used them a little bit on YouTube on the infested colonies. Just finally got away from them completely. Not saying I wouldn't go back to them if I see a bunch, because traps do work. You will get beetles in them. I am looking forward to the traps that can house some of the beetle poison that they're talking about. Came in, mentioned it. They're testing it at University of Georgia. I think he's helping them. But right now, I'm not going to. You can make traps out of CD cases. Y'all know what CDs are, right? Y'all remember those? Y'all remember cassettes? How about 8-track? I got some of you young folks on that one. Nonetheless, I'm not up for putting roach poison and boric acid and all that in. A lot of people used it in those fold traps. Hey, if that's what y'all want to use, hey, do what you got to do. I'm not saying right, wrong, or indifferent. I just know it's not legal in the colonies. As far as if you're inspected, you may not want that in there. But I just don't want roach poison, boric acid. They used to use the political signs. You could shove it in there and put Crisco around the sides. The beetles would go in and die. Greg Burns has murder paste. Still have not made that. There's nothing that says you can't put that in a colony. That's Crisco. That's making like a grease patty with diatomaceous earth. Diatomaceous earth will kill them. The way he does it with the murder sauce is it's smooth and it's very, very fine, and the beetles get in it, and the bees, it doesn't affect them. So that's an option. All kinds of different options. Traps. I always use traps. I've tried Swiffers. I've seen plenty of people where it works fine. I didn't get good results. I'm not saying it's bad. It works great. Bruce uses the Dixie towels. All kinds of things people use. When I trapped them, I used a reusable, clear beetle traps that you could dump it on, and I used the beetle blasters. I tried the knockoff beetle blasters, and for whatever reason, the beetles didn't go in them. I could take a colony where I've seen a lot of beetles, put a beetle blaster in, put two of them in, one on one corner, I'll show you where I'm gonna put them, one on the other, with oil, and it would load up with beetles, and it would help. But in the end, why I stopped using beetle traps was because, folks, strong colonies does it. It just does. Very few strong colonies have a lot of beetles, because what I just saw, 15, 20 beetles, that's not a lot. I don't panic over that. Like, I know this colony that you're looking at that has every frame filled up to the top with bees is going to be just fine. They're going to maintain them. Matter of fact, they corral them in the corner, as we all know, and hold them there. And the funny thing is, the beetles trick the bees into feeding them and keeping them alive. But in the end, they take care of it. It's fine. I've gotten to guess where I don't freak out. What I do when I see beetles, I immediately assess the size of the colony and how much space they're guarding. That has been taught to me from the beginning, and I've learned that the hard way, is if they've got too much space, that's when they're in trouble. And when they got too much space, a lot of times, that means they're weak. And if they're weak, that's the ones the majority of the beetles start going to, and they overwhelm it within a couple of days. 3 days for the eggs to hatch. You got larvae everywhere. Beetles are all over the place. So yeah, I just rely on strong colonies. They take care of it. Yes, did they get stressed maybe if there's a bunch of them in there? Probably so, but I've never seen like 75, 100 beetles in a colony that's super strong like this. And you saw the other one. It's not as strong as this, and there's none in there. Where I see them is when the colonies are diminishing, or they're just not big colonies, and they're trying to guard all that space. So it's like second nature to me these days. In the last probably 5 or 6 years, 7 years, it is second nature to immediately check space. I see beetles, how much space they got? Okay, we're good. That's it. So there, you're disappointed. I didn't teach you anything about no new remedies that are coming out. Because you know why? It's not a how-to. It's a how I do. So what we're going to do is look through some gadgets, because I got to get this closed up. So okay, so here's the beetle traps. These are from Robert Peebles, reusables. That was always the problem with the beetle blasters. You almost couldn't reuse them. I'm going to use diatomaceous earth because I have it handy. And I don't like it in the beetle blasters, because what happens is in the beetle blasters, you know, they're clear. I'll put diatomaceous earth in. It begins to clump up in the humidity. It does kill a bunch of beetles, but then the carcasses are so thick, they're walking on top of the live ones and they don't die. They just hide in here. Still, it's keeping them corralled, but I'd rather them dead. I like beetles dead. So we're going to try out Robert's. I'm hoping this isn't too thick. I don't think it is. He's been testing it. He wouldn't send me something he didn't test. I like this because I can simply put some diatomaceous earth in. I like the oil better, to be honest with you, because I know it kills them and drowns them. Whoops. But diatomaceous earth works too. It's just the humidity and the dead carcasses that tend to keep me from killing more. I like dead beetles. Dead beetles are good. So we had some beetles. I'm not happy that we had beetles, but we did. All right, so we're going to put this lid on. This is a neat lid. I like the lid. It looks like it only goes so far, it stops. It doesn't go. And let's see how it fits. So what I do, I saw the majority of them right over in this corner here. I always like to put these in the corners. All right, Robert, help me out here. I'm not getting it all the way down here. Let me move my frames over some. So we're going to have to move our frames over. Now, what I do like about his design is we need to make sure the frame is clean because we want it flush. The plastic ones, they do like to get... Oh, I can't put it there. Okay, I'm going to move it over here. There's some comb sticking out. The beetles do like to get under the lips of the beetle blasters. Alright. Alright, I'm going to stick that right there. Now it's nice and flush. So I shouldn't have beetles getting under it. They should only go in it. We're going to check it. We'll check it next week. But put one in over here. I always try to put them in the two corners. What's better about the diatomaceous earth I like is that we don't have an issue with oil spilling everywhere. Now what's nice about these, I can just pull the lids and wash them out. That's the same with the ones, the beetle jails. Those are the other reusable ones. So I'll put one in this other corner. Definitely. They're probably like, why are you in here? You know it's robbing season. Why are you doing this to us? So it's the only other thing about beetle traps, if you got a lot of propolis, getting them down in there. That's nice. They're nice and hard plastic, so you can push it and actually spread the frames. So that's where I put them. I put them in the corners, folks. If that's where we're going to put them, we're going to try them out. And I'm going to show you some other goodies that he's sent me. So that's cool, man. That one, that supposed weak colony, it really wasn't weak at all. I'm excited about that. So that means these are packed. But that's good, because that's a strategy against the beetles. A good packed colony will not succumb to the beetles, in my experience that I've seen so far. Over the years, I've never seen a very well packed colony succumb to the beetles. Here's what I hear a lot at the meetings. My strongest colony was killed by beetles. No, it wasn't. My strongest colony was killed by moths. No, it wasn't. They're opportunists. They're secondary to the problem. You guys have heard this. Everybody's heard this. And so what I hear a lot is that, well, it was my strongest colony. Well, let's keep in mind, what were your mite counts and did you treat them? Or, you know, what were your mite counts? We see the strongest colony. We look at them on the front. We go, wow, they're strong. They're huge. Some of these are strong. They're huge. I'm always raising mites when I'm raising bees. So if I got a lot of bees, I'm raising a lot of mites too. If I don't get ahead of them, my colony dwindles. As it dwindles, it weakens. The pheromone, whatever it is they smell, the beetles come. When the beetles come, they begin to lay eggs. And then pretty soon the bees continue to dwindle because the virus is taking effect. This all can happen in literally a 4-week period of time. You can come out here, see the strongest colony, open them up, look at them 2 weeks later, open them. You still see a lot of bees, but they're dwindling. Beetles starting to show up. The last 2 weeks, it's too late. They're gone. The beetles are packed in there. They're laying tons of eggs. The bees can't keep up with the larvae coming out. In 3 days, they hatch. The beetle larvae go crazy. They slime your colony. Out they go. Normally, if you open them right before that happens, you see wax moths moving in my experience. And when the wax moths start moving in, that's a sign they had too much space. They can't guard it. They're too weak. They're crashing. Something's happening. So we want to get them before that. I've never seen a colony that has stayed strong, and even as it dwindles, okay, these colonies, they're going to dwindle down naturally because the queen is slowing down right now. She's not laying as much brood. And when they do that, they begin to tighten up, they begin to have space available, and we see them dwindle down some. And so we don't really know sometimes when it happens, if we haven't done any mite counts or any treatments or anything like that, or however we're treating them. If we're treatment free, however we're doing it. That's been my experience. But they'll dwindle down some. But what happens when they crash quick. So, you know, you can look at them, they could be like this, and about a month later, they can be slimed, and we're wondering what happened. It can happen. That's how it works usually. That's usually the cycle that I've seen. So I'm curious about this single. Sometimes when I see bees way on the outside like that, just hanging out, it's not always a sign that they're strong. So when we see a single, and this one, let's look. It's loaded up with bees on the front, right? It's hot, but it's actually not as sunny as it was. I see them piled up. That's not always a sign that everything is hunky-dory. Sometimes, I had a nuke one time that was like that. I was like, wow. For about 2 weeks, I was like, wow, it's strong. Let me go in and see. Maybe they're just packed. Maybe I should put them in a 10 frame for fall. Turned out, look at there, a beetle. What I remember finding out what that nuke was, the entire, so let's say this is the nuke. They were all piled on the front and bearding over. From here, all the way back, okay, it was all empty and was slowly being fermented and slimed out. the beetle larvae were beginning to hatch. What happened was the bees were ready to abscond. They were just getting away from the beetles. So just because they're all piled up on front, that isn't a guarantee either. You kind of get to know it after a while, I guess. That's how I figure. But let's see how many beetles come out of this one. And this stand is always my worst beetle stand. That's why I came over here first. Look at there, see? Beetles. Lots of them. There's a lot of beetles in this one. For this size. Now the vacuum would have been nice right here, but it's not charged. Now I will say this stand is always bad, but I probably killed 25. So, and there's plenty more. Now the bees are guarding the frame, so they are actually in there. I was hoping they weren't run out in front. Let's see how heavy this thing is. It's light too. It needs some food. So I got to get them a frame of honey. That's what I'm going to do now. And then we're going to put a beetle trap in this, and then I'm going to show you some gadgets. Well, folks, I'm not so sure I was recording on that last one. So I did put a honey frame in there if I didn't start recording a minute ago. There's a honey frame in there. I got a better honey frame here. They were going to give them an old drone layer frame. The old drone layer. Got some nectar in it. Some old bee bread, plenty of nectar. It's all frozen, but they'll be all right. They'll thaw it very quickly. No problem. That helps them. Now again, I am a fan of the oil over the diatomaceous earth, but I didn't have any readily available. So, come on now. All right, y'all can't be under there. When I push this down, y'all gonna get hurt. There we go. I do like that they sit flush and now they won't pop up. The plastic cheapos, the ends pop up and you have to run your hive tool across them first to squish the beetles underneath. So we'll see how well they trap. That's our next step. And again, these lids, they stop. I got it about a quarter way full. Smoke them off of this one. I always put them in the corners. I really don't mess with them in the middles because the bees like to run them off to the corners. Now, I'm trying this without separating the frames. And it looks like if you push down good, it moves the frame. Oops, get out of there, bee. Daggone it. Got one. Get out. You can actually push them down in there. So let's see what they do. So there you go. We got two of them that were pretty well having beetles and one of them that wasn't. And so prime example, the one that looked the weakest had the least amount, but yet it was strong inside. So I can't always tell by looking at the front. I mean, I just kind of know my colonies for the most part and I wing it. Again, not a how-to, this is how I do. Another problem, when I'm opening this time of year, I'm letting the beetles all out of the beetle jail that they made. So that doesn't help the bees either. So it's not, I don't know, here's an old beetle trap. All right, this is one of the knockoffs. They have that clover leaf on them. And then these flaps, they come up and the beetles, see how the flaps, they come up, the beetles get under them, I've noticed that. The beetle blasters work well, but again, they also get under those too. And these are not reusable, and to be honest with you, the price of these has gone stupid. That's why everybody was getting these knockoffs. They don't seem to work as well. The price of the beetle blaster is out of control. So again, I know you're disappointed. I don't use a bunch of interventions. Normally I wouldn't even win in these. I was going to go in that one just to check its weakness. But it turned out not to be. So I would have went in that one, but the rest, I'm not going to mess with them. I'm going to leave them alone. These over here, we got some flight time going on. It's got to be orientation or water. There's just not a lot out there right now. The queen is shutting down for the most part. Her patches are going to shrink. But that's it. That's what they're doing today. Even the water runs aren't going on that much. On this one, what I'll have to do is watch it in another couple weeks. I'm going to weigh it again. And, you know, push comes to shove, I might have to put a frame feeder in there and throw them a gallon. But for now, I'm just going to put a couple frames of honey. I'll weigh them in another week. I'll go week to week and weigh them. They need to make it about 3 weeks to 4 weeks, and we should start seeing some stuff blooming out there for them to at least start piling in there. And Come October, that's when we'll begin to feed any light colonies. Bees can take care of themselves as long as I keep them strong. So my goal is always keep them strong. How do I do that? If they're too weak, I combine them. If they got too much space, I reduce it. And that is my remedy. So I know that's a disappointment. It wasn't some silver bullet breakthrough that Mike is showing you. There's plenty of other videos out to show you. Greg's murder sauce. There's the essential oil. People are talking about the peppermint oil, the peppermints themselves. I didn't see that work for me because the peppermints were dissolved so fast in this heat and with the bees eating them and all, that there's no way I can put 8 mints in a hive, 2 boxes every other day. I can't do it. No way. In 40 hives. No way. That's not going to work for me. It's not practical. So I didn't get a chance to see if it really worked. Some are talking about peppermint oil now on different things in different areas working. I don't know. Right now, for me, it's relying on strong colonies, but you've seen how I do it, and I am giving this a shot because, look, I do like the traps. They do work when they work, but it's a practical issue for me. But I'm interested to see how these work because these are pretty sturdy, easy to reuse, and if I can get away using diatomaceous earth instead of oil and throw them in and out on some really infested hives, hey, I'm back in, you know? So Robert People sent me a bunch. We've seen this. He sent me a bunch of neat stuff. So we've seen that. That's pretty cool. We're going to see how they work. It's an honest review, folks. He's got these nice push-in cages. Okay? Isolation cages for your queen. We saw the beetle smasher. Pretty neat. I smashed up quite a few beetles with it. We got roller cages. Red, white, and blue. Queen cages. Now these are interesting. These are for entrances. Now they got these small slides. I'm not sure what they're for. I'm going to have to look up in his description. I should have done my homework before I came out, but I needed to get busy and this package just came. It fits in this one. But anyway, this goes across the front entrance. So you can reduce your entrance to this. Too hot to even mess with this right now for me. Just too hot right now. But here in the fall, I'll go ahead and try these out as well. And it can be moving entrances too, so you can close them up, slide them in, and you still got ventilation. So that's neat. Now these are what I told him I probably wouldn't use, but he sent them this time. He got his opportunity. He took his shot. And that's cool. I might try them, but these are neat. So what these are is, say you don't want to do any grafting or anything, and maybe you make a bunch of, or you have a hive that makes a bunch of emergency cells, or maybe you make some supersedures and you got some extras, but you don't have anywhere to put them yet. You want them to emerge out or whatever. Pick your queen, see who emerges, because look, not all cells emerge either. These cages are push-in cages for cells. You put them on a frame over a cell. That way when the queen emerges, she's caged already. So you don't have to worry. So if you're in a hive and you're in a hurry and you see them, you're like, oh well, say you're doing a split and you got 2 or 3 frames full of cells, you don't need but one of those frames. Hey, push these in there, and now when they all emerge, you can catch each one of them. And now you say you have 4 cells on one frame that you save. Even if you move it to another hive, you now have 4 queens. You can make 4, 3 more splits in addition to the 1 queen you have. So that's pretty neat. So that's a queen rearing tool for those that maybe don't want to graft, or maybe are doing splits and want to make extra nukes off of their splits and want to catch all the virgins. Because I do virgin queens introductions all the time. I like it. This is a beetle trap, but it's not made for your normal colony because it's so thick. It goes on the bottom of, say, a lay-ins, or behind a following board, or if your bottom has got enough space, underneath the top bars for a top bar hive. So you fill this with diatomaceous earth and it goes. So, and he sent me a nuke. You can always use a resource nuke in the yard. Look at there. What do you think about that? Thank you, Robert. Robert Peoples, folks. Robert Peoples. Pretty cool. I'm going to try your stuff, the stuff that I can try. I'll definitely use these. I'm definitely trying these. I'm going to use these this next month to see how they are, probably October. But cool stuff, cool stuff. RP Beeworks, RP Beeworks, folks. He just sent me this stuff to try out, and I'm going to try it. And you were there to see it. Oh, it's hot. I'm going to get done. Hey, I hope you enjoyed this video. I appreciate all you guys watching. This is Barry's Best Honey. I'm Mike, and I do bees. Y'all have a wonderful, wonderful week, and may God bless you. We'll see y'all later.